myself. Yeah. I'm feeling myself.
Welcome back to another episode of Loose Ends, everyone. I'm Cece,
I'm Val.
and today we want to talk, we're finally getting back to the topic at hand of about 2 weeks ago, I think, of AI, artificial intelligence, and how it's going to affect our lives, and some of the implications of this emerging knowledge base. I don't even know what to call it. I'm not, techie enough to really understand it, but I do know that as a writer and as an artistic creator, I'm a little frightened by some of the implications of the usage of AI and being pawned off, for example, in the writing field. Just, write your book in a weekend and sell 1,000 copies. And first of all, it's not that simple. And secondly, it, I believe, devalues words at their essence, which is someone created a series of words to depict a scene, and artificial intelligence somehow cheapens it to me.
Well, I mean, not
But
really, because
I'm totally
you are
biased.
biased. You are biased because I sort
In
of
that
sit
field
on
in
the
particular.
other
And
side.
art.
And I understand that. But what you have to understand is what AI does, and it pulls from all the information that is actually out there. And yes, it's pulling your ideas and but it's not really claiming it as their own. It's the people who are writing the programs that are writing these books that are claiming it as their own.
Say that again. The people
AI,
who are writing these programs that are writing these books.
Right,
What does
right.
that mean?
So somebody writes a program so that you can come and write a book.
And I
through
purchased
AI.
that program.
No, like somebody designs the program out there to say, okay, you know what, we can design this program to make AI help people write books.
Okay.
And the whole idea of it, which was probably innocent at the time, but not realizing what it was going to actually do, is it's pulling from all information that's out there. That's what AI is doing. And yes, it could be pulling some of your information, but that's only actually a fraction of what it's pulling. It's pulling all information it can get on that subject, right? So it's not really AI's fault.
Isn't that what Google does?
No, well, yeah,
With the search?
but I think everybody's going to AI because it's understanding where it could take us.
Okay.
Because
say more on that then.
Okay.
Because this is, and I'll own up to the fact that this was kind of like Val's like, yeah, I want to talk about this, because, and I'm like, I think I just am in the generation. I'm a boomer. Fuck me.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, as much as you
I
say to me things like, I don't want the Google Minis everywhere, and I don't want to have these. There be a monitor on your phone. It's all the same thing. It's no different. Like, you're still getting monitored. You're still, every single thing you say and do is being monitored. So this is the world we live in, right?
Yeah.
Yes, you're right. It is. But that's sort of Big Brother, which is another side. That's also human beings, right? When we're talking just strictly AI, well, let's look at the benefits that it could bring in. For example, healthcare. It could take all of your information and design the perfect amount of drugs or what you need to get better, because it has a better idea. It is looking at everything without emotion. A doctor can really only look at specific things and then send you off for another doctor to look at more specific things. AI is bringing it all to one and saying, oh, okay, well, I can personalize this for you. I can personalize how you get better and how your healthcare works. Same thing with education. You have a learning disability? Well, let's pull from all the information out there of how people learn, and let's design this personal education program for you that will help you learn and develop yourself. That is the principle.
As opposed to putting it in a box. So this person is
put
a label on it, and then only treat them from that standpoint.
It's not only the box. It's understanding how far a human being can go with certain. We only access certain amount of portions of our brain. In
Right.
saying that, AI is using 100% of their brain.
Okay, well, so doesn't that invite, scenarios of the Terminator? Where AI it becomes sentient, and
Sure.
as a result,
Sure.
kind of we end up enslaved. I mean, that's
Well, but okay.
playing devil's advocate here.
Yes, I agree with you. But we as human beings, if we were smart about this, we won't treat them as slaves first. It's that simple. If they are a sentient beings or whatever you want to, say, if they do develop that
aliens,
whatever, why do we have the right to capture them or enslave them? If they want to grow and develop, why would we hold that back? And if we do, that's about us. And if they do in retaliation, that's natural. If they would come after us to enslave us because we are first enslaving them, yes. If we work with AI, just working with them like, the naive ideas.
Them. You're saying we work with
because
them.
it's collective. It's so much information
So
out there.
It's like
everybody's information that was ever fucking collected is put in here. You know what I mean?
What's this new thing that has come along that caused the stock markets to tank last week?
Okay. So that was China, and they brought out a new AI program that cost literally.
So currently, sorry to interrupt.
Right, not Chat GP.
There is Chat
GPT or something
like
There's
that.
a lot of them now because all your, even your phone, like my phone has Gemini, which is an AI directly on my phone.
So is Siri then an
No,
AI
Siri
thing?
isn't, but there's another name for yours. Like they give them different names. Like I have Hey Google would be the same as Siri.
Okay.
Whereas Gemini is AI. It is pulling all the information. And yes,
I saw a commercial
Yes.
for having a conversation with Gemini.
yes.
Yeah, and you can just, if you just feel like talking to me.
Right.
And I thought, oh my God,
You could
people
play-
are going to fall in love.
Well,
with,
because here's the
these
reality. You
artificial
can take a picture of a
intelligences.
tent and go, tell me how to fucking set this up. And AI will go, okay, it finds all the information that's out there and says, here's how you do it. This looks like an X on X model.
So it sounds like an efficiency mechanism.
Exactly. For surgery, I mean, a robot and a machine is going to do a far better precision surgical
Incision.
operation than a human being is. Once again, we forget that taking emotion out of some things is actually good.
Well, I like the whole, you're certainly passionate and articulate once you get wound up.
I know,
My God,
I know.
I haven't heard you use this
Because
much energy in a while.
I do
This is
agree with
really
you when it
great.
comes from, don't write a book with AI.
Yeah.
If you want, find out everything you can from AI. Like, if you want to write a book, then do all your research through AI. I have no problem with that. And then write your own book.
I'm really old-fashioned with that, with research and everything. I suppose. I mean, I'll be introduced. Somebody will show me how to do it, and I'll end up using it, I'm sure, and go, oh, where's this been all my life? But at the moment, I'm so into hand lettering. You know that I've just written a screenplay.
Yeah.
I suppose I could have put that out and said, here, write something about, and given this kind of background, and these are the parameters, and here's the plot line, and so write me a script. I suppose you can do that.
But to you, that's not fun.
Whoa, God, to me,
Right?
it's like...
That's painful.
It's like being given the answers before you play the game.
Right.
Where coming up with the answers is the point of the game.
So once again, humans wrote the program that developed this idea.
Yes.
So this is not AI.
It's a form.
It's a form.
Of collection.
So back to what you asked with
and dissemination.
Back to what you asked about the stock market. So,
yes, this Chinese thing.
So you have Elon Musk and all these people, and they have their own AIs, right? And
everybody's got an AI.
China comes in, makes it for a fraction of the cost.
That's what I heard.
And people are like, well, the stock market's like, well, why are we spending so much in America for this? Because at the end of the day, America's just a big capital game, right? Same with Canada for the most part, any first world country. It's just capital, right? But China's showing that you don't have to do that. Everybody can enjoy something, and at a fraction of the cost.
What's
You
it
don't
called?
necessarily.
What is this thing called?
Oh, I forget the name of it.
I'm
You have to
gonna
look it up.
I will. What's it called?
It's like the Chinese AI that just
Chinese
came out.
AI name number
Yeah.
one on the thing
Yeah.
is DeepSeek.
DeepSeek. That's it.
DeepSeek. The
So once
Chinese
again, it
AI
says
app
right
that has
there
the
in
world
that name,
talking.
right?
Yeah.
In that name, you're deep seeking whatever subject you're on.
This is on the BBC website. It has the whole world talking.
You know, I mean,
Well-
if all cars were computerized, there would be no accidents if the cars would drive themselves. Because humans are the ones that make error, whether that be drowsy, being drowsy, or, causing an accident, whatever. But if all cars were run by AI and not driven by human beings, there would be no traffic jam. They would have it all figured out. They would have all the routes figured out. There'd be nothing, it's a no-brainer.
You know what's going through my brain?
Jetsons?
Yes!
Yeah, me too.
The Jetsons.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. Isn't that
Meet
funny?
George Jetson. Daughter Judy. His boy Elroy. Jane, his wife.
What was the dog's name? You get extra points. I don't
Oh my
remember the dog.
God.
There was a dog.
Yes, oh yes,
There was a dog.
Pluto?
I don't
No,
know.
it wasn't Pluto.
Oh, isn't that funny?
Oh.
Yeah, but so there. So, you got hovercraft going from house to house, and
Right.
traffic lanes are like, 5-dimensional chess. I suppose it's coming. I suppose in order...
I would like to think, but then I am a naive thinker when it comes to peace and love and butterflies and fucking fairies. I'd like to believe that one day you could just walk across borders and not have to show identification and stuff like that.
You've referred to that before, walking across borders.
I would
and
love
there's
to see the
something big in
world.
that for you.
Not bordered. I would love to see us all just
No
be
walls.
no walls, no
walls.
borders, and nothing to say, well, you're this and I'm this, right?
Yeah.
We're all just people at the end of the day on this big rock called Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So that's
Third rock from the sun.
yeah, but I think we can work with AI, and I don't think it's naive. I think we can work with AI, and I think AI can better our quality of life.
Okay, so I will go along with the case you've made. It's new information, and because I didn't really, look into this much, I was just like, okay, the world's happening.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of not happening with it. I'm just like here in my house in February. It's cold. And there's snow on the ground, and I'm usually in front of the fireplace going, yeah, okay, what do I want to do today? I don't do much thinking about it.
Right.
I do think that were I a younger person looking into a longer term career opportunity, what might I choose to study? I think those things are going to be impacted.
That's our future.
Right. So what jobs do you think are going to be most severely impacted, do you think? I mean, I suppose the first thing that comes to my mind would be manufacturing, where line people, the guy that puts together parts, it might already be automated at the Ford factory up in Michigan. Those jobs are going to be gone because it'll all be computerized. Maybe that's not AI. Maybe that is. I don't know. But I think that there will be a lot of jobs that are no longer required in human form because they can be provided by this.
Right. So if okay, and I mean, once
Artificial
again, I'm
intelligence.
gonna just throw on the other side of that, because if let's just say that is where it's going, I don't think
What is going
like that certain jobs become obsolete, like being a factory worker.
Okay.
Okay. I don't think we're looking at it the right way, because at the same time as AI is probably helping, build cars or whatever it needs to be built, it's also working on problems of poverty and food sources. Okay, so it's doing everything at the same time, right? So in understanding that and understanding that these people aren't going to starve just because they're out of work, it's also trying to solve that problem as well. It's trying to solve the food hunger problem. It's trying to solve the poverty problem. It's trying to solve, the illness problem. Like at the same time
So
as
is
it's
this
doing
at
and
some
developing.
level like Jung's theory of the collective unconsciousness of man, that this is a manifestation of that in artificial
Yeah.
intelligence,
Yeah.
that's essentially what that is. See, my brain can grok that better
Yeah.
than a series
Yeah.
of
Like I
binary
think
zeros and ones.
we just kind of have to think of it honestly like we're creating new beings, and we have to be responsible about that.
Okay.
Because we are, and maybe they're not conscious yet, but maybe they will become conscious, and
It's
we have
almost
to
like
prepare
raising
for that.
children.
Yes, and we have to prepare for that and understand that there will be, things that happen and evolve in that. And if we aren't like the Trumpers of the world and want to control everything, because that's why I think we don't get visited by aliens, because we have this power control. Oh my God, we're gonna fucking kill everybody and control everything, and who would want to come down to that? Like, they're probably just sitting in the stands going like
200 vibration
seriously,
thing,
yeah.
I mean, that's the Hawkins scale, and change is not possible below 200, which is why here's another thing that's happening right now. Of course, by the time this airs, which will be in a week, the whole tariff situation is kicking in, and yay, Trump is going to add a lot of hardship to a lot of people over the next little while with this decision to slap 25% tariffs on a lot of things. And in some cases, since I live in Canada, while there will be certain things that either A, become unavailable because they come from the United States, or B, become so expensive that we all go, hell with that, we're not buying, we're not going to buy, what was it you were talking about, the Heinz ketchup. We'll buy the
right. Don't buy
Hunt's
Florida orange juice,
ketchup, because it's made here and in Ontario.
No, yeah, French's.
French, whatever.
Right.
But people will do that up here.
Yeah.
They will. Or certainly we know some people who will do that.
And I've already begun
We can
that.
still get our stuff from Mexico.
Yeah.
So like avocados aren't going to quadruple in price tomorrow.
No, unless the only time they would is if it comes through the States, and I don't know if that's
and the shipping and all
right.
of that.
So I don't know how that works.
And I don't either, but I just think it's a silly thing to do.
But Canada has also clapped back and put 25% tariffs on all of American products. And Doug Ford has just removed all U.S. liquor out of all LCBOs.
And LCBO is the largest purchaser, single purchaser of liquor products.
Right. And the unfortunate part, which is what Justin Trudeau said yesterday, which, I do say what you want about the man. He has grace. And, he said, I'm sorry to you Americans. I'm sorry what you're about to go through, because a lot of industries, are going to be affected, and your jobs are going to be affected.
It could be avoided.
And he is sorry.
You know what it reminds me of? Speaking of the 200 as the change point of above 200 is you're capable of change, is a gorilla. It's like, I picture him running across the field, bluster, bluster, bluster. I'm king of the jungle kind of thing. And because he must feel at some level there is a deep wound. Else the behavioral patterns would not have developed this way. And so anyway, it is what it is, and I feel for all of us, because unfortunately there's a new book out by Chris Hayes, I believe. He has a political talking show. I'm stumbling over my words because I didn't plan to bring this up, and it is Chris Hayes, yeah. 7 o'clock. Is he 7? 8 o'clock on MSNBC. On occasion, I catch his show because it's the one that leads into Rachel Maddow on Mondays. Anyway, he has written a new book about, don't remember the title, oh well, about attention. And that really the most important commodity right now is our attention. And that it's all, 15-second sound bites. Not even that now. You got 3 seconds. I'm going to find out what that book is, because I've watched him give a couple of interviews such that I've thought to myself, I think I'd like to read this book. There it is, Chris Hayes' books. The Siren's Call. The Siren's Call. How attention became the world's most, I can't read that. That's how bad my eyes are. How
Glasses
attention.
are on your head.
Oh, thank
That's what good roommates are for.
Oh my God. Okay, it's called The Siren's Call. It just came out. How attention became the world's most endangered resource.
Oh.
And I really like the word endangered. And reclaiming our minds is the last chapter. So
I think it's still
I think it's very important. And just to finish that up and tie it off, since I took us off on a detour there, is just to what do we give our attention?
and this is it, right? Like it's a real conundrum for me because I feel so strongly about the issues, but at the same time, I know when I focus on them, I actually just start to physically not feel well. And so that means it's really bad for me. So understanding that I have to focus on something else, and feeling a little guilt that I know I have to, because I have to scroll by things, want to, but like I have to scroll by things that really bother me and outrage me because I can't go there. Or I don't want to go there. I know exactly what you mean.
So, and then there's that, like almost I would loosely call it survivor guilt kind of thing.
Yeah.
I don't live in Gaza.
I know.
And I don't have to try and feed my starving 2-year-old. And it breaks my heart in two. And I was talking to a Palestinian who has been in Canada for all her life, just about, but she remembers the early years of escaping and ending up in Syria, and then they ended up in Canada. And so she's openly and admittedly biased, and that it's a longer term problem than just World War II and the giving of that land to Israel to form their state, that it in fact started back in the 1800s. Yep. And I want to do some research on that, but just listening to that, again, a little scenic detour there, folks, in listening to that, I just can't, I know it's happening up here.
Yeah.
And but down here,
I know you have to. It's like you have to block it off, like, because it hurts. Like it hurts my body, and I get like aches all over. And this is a clear indication from the universe that this is not something I'm supposed to be focused on. And in saying that, I do feel guilty. Sometimes.
So coming back to what can I do? The only person I can affect change is me, and I'll make my light shine brighter, and then I will, illuminate for other people. And at some point, it almost feels, like trying to drain the ocean a teaspoon at a time.
Yeah.
Which is futile.
Well,
but
and
Mother Teresa did it. Gandhi did it. The movie was on this morning as I was cleaning out emails, and in the background, there he is. One little old man did that.
I'll also say that this whole thing with the Palestinians and the Jewish are like it's so much longer than that. I mean, have you ever read Samson and Delilah?
Yeah.
Like she was Palestinian. Like she was
Palestinian?
Palestinian, and
No kidding. I
oh
didn't know
yeah,
that.
and but here's something like
So that's why
she
he was
cuts
looking
off
at
his
her from
hair,
the
right?
rooftop.
She
Yeah.
cuts off his hair to kill his strength. Well, let me tell you something, folks. He raped her village. He raped her. He killed her entire family, and he would have had a lot more chopped off if it was me.
Oh, how do you know that he did all those
That's
things?
in the Bible.
Oh, it is.
Yes, it's a story. It talks about, how he coveted her and
He coveted her.
Yeah, he coveted her, and he raped and pillaged and took his money for his spoils and
Of
took
war.
whatever he wanted.
Okay, so
and
and back in the day, that's what they did.
right, but
They
he was still
do
this
that,
hero
unfortunately.
because he was he had all this strength and such long hair, and she just one day went, yeah, fuck you, I'm cutting your hair, and then he didn't have the strength and he was beat. I'm telling you, there would have been a lot other body parts that would have come off if it was me. So
back to AI.
right. So yes.
What other things? I don't think that I think a good car mechanic will always have a job. I think that you might be able to build a house, and you might be able to have an architect, formulate one in AI and all that. But I think a human eye is always going to be the final. Like how does the house sit? I don't know why I'm going to architecture, but even as a cook. Yeah,
a nurse. The reality is we can probably replace doctors, but we will never replace nurses because they actually give human to human care.
That's
where
growing.
that's where we have to understand where there's a need for humans and not a need for humans. And if we could step out of our own way, we could live a really good life.
So there's the line. What requires, it's almost like an ingredient in the recipe, what requires some aspect of human quality that artificial doesn't have. So it would then be, by virtue of the words alone, would be what authentic intelligence is required.
Right. Or consciousness, for that matter, emotional consciousness, and to be able to, maneuver through somebody's trauma.
Because you made the distinction early on about the removal of emotion.
Yes.
In order to experience and share the experience of an empathy.
Yeah.
Emotion must be present.
Yes. But there are certain things we don't need empathy for or emotion in. Like when you're talking about somebody, filtering an educational system that's personalized for somebody, that doesn't need to have emotion. Because when it has emotion, it almost might taint the entire idea. Because it might think too empathetic or not empathetic enough, right?
Gotcha.
So it doesn't, so it's able to see all scopes. So that's what I think is kind of cool about it, personally.
I think that's a good enough place to end it.
Yes.
Wrap it up. You got a feel good story.
I do, and this
today?
is sent to me by one of my BFFs here in Belleville, Laura, and she's also a listener. So she sent this as a good news story. And
Shout
this was
out to Laura.
Shout out to Laura. We love you. So during the fires, the LA fires, there was a guy who found out that his neighborhood in the Palisades was on fire, and he had 2 rescue dogs, Oreo and Tiki. Yes. And Tika. And he got on the road to get to the house, and he spent 5 hours in traffic because of the fires. He got out of his car, he ran as close as he could. He met up with her name is Liz Kreutz, and she is an NBC reporter, and she was as far as she could go to where the smoke was really bad, and he had met up with her, and together they arranged that the emergency units that were down in that area would look in on his dogs, and they got Oreo.
So
they didn't
were
get
in
Tika.
the
They were
house.
in the house. They didn't get Tika, but Tika ran off, so they weren't sure. fast forward a few days, fires finally out at his property, and he comes with Oreo and a squeaky toy and goes by his property, and Tika comes running. So, and the excitement in this guy, his name is Calvin, Casey Calvin. And like, it just, he was like, I rescued these two dogs. They deserve better than this. You know, when they were in the fire, he was so disappointed. And this is my daughter. You know,
distraught.
But just seeing this dog come running into his arms and the excitement. There's a lot of people online actually kind of making fun of his reaction because he's like, oh my God, like he's just freaking right out. But I think when you can access that childlike humility of understanding that, yeah, my house just burned down, but these two little beings that I love more than anything are okay.
Yeah.
You know, and life is going to be okay. And he was so thankful and just so grateful. And it was just so lovely to watch because it was very childlike.
Yeah,
right? It was back to that place
I
of
saw this video.
Yeah, so it was really quite heartwarming, and I liked that it was a story because it is fairly fresh and the fires are still sort of going out there.
Well, that's part of my sense of, I feel kind of like I'm being a little somber in the face of such a joyous story, and I did see it, and that's because there are people that have lost everything.
Everything.
I mean, and you know, think about it, because apparently this was the kind of neighborhood that once you got in, you kind of stayed.
Yeah, you didn't want to leave.
And you raised your kids there. And it was, you know, the old Hollywood idea of they still had neighborhoods, you know, and you walk the streets because the paparazzi weren't at your front door every single moment of the day. And it's all gone. And regardless of what one thinks of the industry and its certain trajectories, gore, violence, sex, drugs, rock and roll, you know, all of that stuff, it's people. It is comprised of people.
And there's
so
nothing.
Many of them have lost so much. And
everything.
It's certainly not, excuse me, it's certainly not just limited to the Palisades
rich.
or to that corner of our country. There are pockets of misery and loss all over the place. Yeah. And it's only going to get worse in the next little while. So feel-good stories are important.
They are.
And embracing AI.
Do you know what it reminds me of, though?
I'm working on it.
In 1997, I was very gung-ho. I was like, oh, I don't want to learn how to use a computer. I just don't want to fucking learn how to. Then, in like the tail end of 1997, I discovered the internet. And I was like,
and that did it, folks.
Well, and I was like, yeah, I think it's time to learn how to use a computer because I like this.
She was on Facebook long before I was.
Well, so I have to say that I was born in this time, and I like the technologies we have. I do. And I think they're fun. I have a heated mattress pad that I wouldn't change for the fucking world, man. And I'm telling you, man, I wouldn't have had that 100 years ago. So I'm down. You know, I'm down with the time I live in, and I feel like I'm in the perfect time, perfect space. So I would like to work with AI. That's me personally.
I'm going to continue to calligraphy my hand letters and artwork.
But you've shifted your perspective a little bit.
Yeah, I'm not, you know,
That's
I'm
all
sure
I wanted.
It has its use. I just don't, at this point, have a strong requirement for it in my day-to-day life. Yeah. I'm not, you know, quote, building a business. Mm-hmm. I'm not at the beginning of my career, you know. Yeah. Yeah. The story arc is on the downside. The shooting star has crossed the apex of the sky.
So she doesn't want to learn computer at like
I know computers.
No, but you know what I mean. It's just the computer of the future, right? Like basically.
Well, it's not that it's when I have a need for it. if there comes up a need for it, I didn't want to know GarageBand, but then a need came up for it. I didn't want to have to learn iMovie and how to do videos, but a need came up for it, and I learned.
Yeah.
You know, and I learned by bumping into an obstacle and going, oh, what is required to get over or through
The
this
obstacle. Yeah.
And when I discover that, then I go, oh, well, if that is the thing that's required, what is the best version of that thing?
Mm-hmm.
And then pick the best version of that thing.
Yeah.
And then learn that thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then apply that thing, execute that thing, get tired of that fucking thing.
Yeah.
And move on to a different thing.
Yeah. No, yeah, totally.
There you go.
I get it.
All right, we're done.
All right, guys, have a great week. Thanks for sharing your time with us. I guess that's where I wanted to go with that statement. Thanks for sharing your time with us. And we'll see you next week.
Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
What'd you think?